Hey guys, this is Sean DeGrey with Total Archery Challenge, and you're listening to Bucks to Business. Woohoo!
Have you ever wondered what drives the passionate entrepreneurs and interesting people in the hunting, fishing, and outdoor industry? Well, I did, so I set out to meet them. Aldo Leopold said, "There are those who can live without wild things and those who cannot. These are the exclusive interviews with those who cannot." My name is Kasey Mock. In 2008, I turned my passion for wildlife into a career when I launched our hunting firm, Fever Pursuit. Our family of companies has grown and now includes wildlife management and ranch real estate sales. I get to work with some of the best people and top ranches in the country, and I want to share their stories of adventure, failures, and the business principles that have led to their success. This is the Bucks to Business podcast presented by Mock Ranches. Hey guys, this is your host Kasey Mock with Bucks to Business podcast and Mock Ranches. There's no getting around the fact that the outdoor and hunting industry is a big business. According to fishandwildlife.org, it generates $25 billion in retail sales annually, $17 billion in salaries and wages, and employs over 575,000 Americans. This is a big industry, and it's important to our U.S. economy. As we look at areas to get involved in the hunting, outdoor, land industry, one such area that's becoming very popular is recreational archery shooting, 3D competitions. And one of my favorite events every year that I look forward to every spring is the Total Archery Challenge. Total Archery Challenge has multiple stops all around the country. It's one of the top recreational archery experiences in the world. And they have a stop in San Antonio, Texas in May. Our guest today is Sean DeGrey. Sean is the proprietor, owner, entrepreneur, brain behind the Total Archery Challenge. He's a great guy. He's passionate about our industry. He's a great entrepreneur. And Sean brings experiences from the Color Run and other large organized events into the archery industry to create a complete new experience for archers. There's a lot to learn about entrepreneurship, about business, and about the archery industry in today's episode. So without further ado, let's welcome Sean DeGrey, owner of the Total Archery Challenge, to the Bucks to Business podcast.
Sean, thanks for hanging out with us today. This is going to be fun, man. I look forward to the Total Archery Challenge every spring. Y'all pushed it back a month. So hopefully it doesn't rain on us and like freeze us out and have ice hanging off my bow like we did the first year. But introduce yourself. Tell us about the event. Well, Total Archery Challenge, this will be what will this be? Our fourth year? Fourth year in Texas, I think. Yeah, fourth year in Texas. The first year, I think we got the first snow ever to hit San Antonio in 100 years. And second year, we got a bunch of rain. Third year, we had that gnarly hailstorm. And we did end up with some decent weather, though. And so this year, we pushed it into May and hoping for a little change of pace in the weather. Of course, every weekend before we got there was phenomenal weather, so it could just be us. But I remember the first year. The first year we roll up there, no kidding. There was maybe you. I got to know you and Tyrell pretty good the first year because we were like the only three people there the first morning because it was 20 degrees and sleeting and literally ice on your arrows. It was so cold. It was so cold. I remember that very vividly because I cried a little bit inside. There were 19 people that showed up that first Friday. And so it was an experience. Don't spend it all in one place. I already had. That was the problem. That first year, I skipped an arrow off the grass carp target down on the creek. And I was like, the arrow was still intact. It didn't break. It was just out there floating in about 3 feet of water. And I said, I'm not losing that arrow. So I stripped down to my underwear. And it literally, dude, it's freezing outside. This was the stupidest thing ever. I stripped down to my underwear and waded out there in the creek and got that arrow.
and we had a little pucker factor going on. It was
so cool, man. You know what was funny though is say that again.
No, go ahead.
I was saying that's kind of one of the things about our event is our tagline is the greatest archery experience in the nation. And honestly, we really believe that in the sense of this is the archery experience. We don't want to be seen as just another 3D shoot. We're really, really big on the experience side of things. And so that's all part of it, right? I mean, everything you're talking about, showing up, bad weather, whatever. And then those are the guys that we're after, the guys that like to get in and really experience all of it. And so it's been real fun, not just with you. We seem to have weather issues everywhere we go. I mean, this year, honestly, in Utah, we've gotten so much snow. I'm wondering if snow is going to be the issue for us.
Wow.
So we might have too much snow up there to do our normal courses that we take. And but again, it's all part of the experience, right? I mean, we really like to try to set this up as a Western type shoot, things you might experience in the West on top of just really, really cool setups for shooting. And we like to carry it out there a little bit. We like the distance. So we have some shots that are out to 100 yards. But I think the beauty of it, and this, is it's not a competition. We really want families out there. We try to pick venues like Natural Bridge Caverns where you could bring the whole family, even if they don't shoot, and there's things for them to do. I mean, Natural Bridge Caverns is an incredible family event or venue. They've got all sorts of fun things to do while mom or dad go shoot or however the combo works out. And if it is a family of shooters, and we've got kids course, we've got courses out to 50 yards, up to 70 yards, and out to 100 plus yards. But in the end, you shoot what you're comfortable with. If you want to do one of those courses that goes out to 100 because your buddy shoots that far, but you're only out to 50, then scoot in. It's all about having fun and challenging yourself, and that's what Total Archery Challenge is all about, is you're just trying to be better than you were last time. So it's about challenging yourself. I mean, you've been there. I know you've broken arrow.
Never. My buddies, they've broken lost arrows. I've never lost or broken an arrow at one of your shoots.
What?
No, I'm just kidding, man. I was going to ask you that question.
I know you're lying.
Yeah, dude. We tend to gravitate towards the extreme shoot, the Western shoot. What do you have? The Sitka course, and you have the Western course, right? Are the two extreme courses? And then it goes to the locals course.
So right now, we've changed the names as of last year. We still have the Western. We've got the Western course, and that's the one that goes out over 100. And then we've got the Sitka course, and that one varies completely on where we're at, what venue. But we try to make it extreme shots, some good angles, some distance to kind of go along with their branding and what they're all about. And then we've got the Mountain Ops course. That one goes out to about 75 yards. And then we have
exotic course, I guess.
It used to be exotics, yeah, but I ended up getting rid of a bunch of exotic targets, and the name just wasn't fitting.
Sure.
So we've decided to go with the Mountain Ops course. And then we have the locals course, and that one only goes out to about 45 yards, depending on the venue you're at. And then we have the kids course, which is 12 targets, and that's typically 5 to 20 yards. So those are the courses. We have an awesome archery range.
Yeah, it's pretty slick. And the pop-up course, the practice range right there, which you'll see me this year. I'll be the guy with crutches and the knee brace on the left knee, camped out at the pop-up course and the practice range like a week after ACL surgery. That'll be me.
Well, why don't you get one of those scooters where you stick your leg on it and kind of push yourself around,
Off-road scooter. I can put some Swampers on there, some knobby tires.
Yeah, if you're that, I guess you said you like extreme, but maybe you're not as extreme as we all thought.
I talked to some buddies last night about booking a caribou and bear hunt, and I already canceled my elk hunt with my buddies that I do every year in September because we're having a new baby and I'm having knee surgery kind of at the same time, and recovery on both looks to be into September, October. So my buddies are giving me all kinds of heck, though. To them right now, I'm not near as tough as I thought I was. I'm catching all kinds of hell. And so it's been fun. Yeah.
But if you're going to if you're going to tear an ACL, dude, do it when you're having a baby, and then you get out of all that diaper changing, and
it's what I'm hoping for. Honey, I can't get to it. I just can't get over there. Yeah. No, that's it.
I just don't have it in me.
That's it. We gravitate towards the more extreme shoots, my buddies and I. So we'll lose a half dozen arrows apiece every year. You know what I like about y'all's shoot, though, compared to some others, and we're going to get into the business side of TAC. But what I like about y'all's shoot is it's not a bunch of guys out there running around in their pro jerseys. If you go to a lot of 3D archery shoots, 3D archery competitions, where it is a competition against the other shooters, it can be intimidating for the hunters, and y'all shoot is set up for the hunters. It's a very much hunter-centric, not competition target shooter-centric. You don't see many of the competition bows with, the triple stabilizers, the 4-foot long stabilizer, the guy that's shooting 50 pounds and a big fat arrow and got his jerseys and decals and all this. It's not really that shoot. This is a hunter shoot to come out, have a lot of fun, fellowship with people, and really test your skills. It's a challenging shoot. I've not shot the locals course, but, in Texas, most of our bow hunting tends to be over a corn feeder at like 20 yards, And so for a lot of the people that come shoot, I bet they find the shoot to be very challenging. And I know for me, the first year we showed up, I could shoot 80 yards very proficiently that year, but coming to your shoot every year has forever changed the way I rig my bows. So my bows now are rigged much more efficiently, much more precise. They're rigged. When I set one up, I want to make sure that I can shoot 150 yards. Not because I'm going to kill an animal at 150 yards, because I'm coming to your shoot, and I want to win the truck when I hit the red dot inside that elk target. So I set all my bows up intentionally to perform that way, and it's strictly because of the shoot. Give me this. Do y'all have a record number of arrows lost? You'll pick up all the arrows or most of them. Do you have a record number of arrows lost and torn up at one of the shoots?
Well, Snowbird definitely eats the most arrows. That's our Utah shoot, and that is because it's our biggest shoot also. We'll have 1,500 people at that shoot. And I've never counted, but last year we were just trying to guess. We figured we're 3,000 plus arrows.
Holy smokes. Easton and Gold Tip, they love when y'all have these shoots because they make their stock prices go up for a little while.
Yeah, we say keeping the arrow companies in business for the last 5 years.
Yeah, so you think, what's the average carbon shaft cost? $7, you think?
Probably $7. By the time you're done with your tip and all that, I would guess.
Maybe $7
to $8. Yeah, it might even be 10.
If you had $8,
no, I think eight's a good average. So it's a bit of money these guys are spending.
If you did $8.50 per arrow and they ate up 3,000 arrow shafts on that tournament, that's over $25,000 worth of arrows. See, that's a lot of arrows. Right, hunting. That's hunting stimulating the economy right there, creating jobs, man. You're creating jobs.
That's exactly it. It's our side piece. Before we started Total Archery Challenge, we bought stock in all the arrow companies.
Yeah, smart people. So the event, y'all pushed it back. Yeah, you pushed it back. You're May 5th through the 7th this year, and it is, like you said, at Natural Bridge Caverns between New Braunfels and San Antonio, Texas. Tremendous venue. And Brad and Travis Weiss, who own Natural Bridge, good friends of mine, become good friends of yours, big hunters, big advocates for our sport, and they have a phenomenal venue there. And they open it up to us. Bring comfortable shoes because you're going to walk a little bit. How'd y'all get into this business, though, Sean? What's your background and Tyrell? What's the business structure look like? Is Tyrell, he's still involved, right, I think?
Yeah, Tyrell's still involved. He's got his own company that he runs, and so he's more of an on-site guy for us. He does a lot of helps Monica, my wife, Monica and I we're the owners. She's the one that makes it all work. I'm just the labor. I do the heavy lifting. She makes it all come together, I think. So without her,
important to know your role, man.
That's it. So, and Tyrell, he's a big, big part of execution on during the event. So he's there to help Monica make things flow, take care of everybody, find out what's going on. Because once the event starts, I'm kind of running around, checking on everything just to make sure it's always flowing good. We've got a phenomenal team with us that travels to every event. And I think that's done a lot. It speaks volumes for how we've been able to get this far is the team that we have. But my background, I've been in the hunting my whole life. I've been in the industry as far as working to some degree. Oh man, since I was 17 is the first time I was up in Alaska, and I was a grunt for an outfitter up there. And that was my first job in the hunting industry. And then I guided for him. I've guided in Montana since 2000, I think. I no longer guide in Montana or in Alaska. I was there until 2007 or 8 was the last year I guided there. But and then I got into doing promotional video and bookings for a while. Started doing events, and events have been, I just love events. And I'm not talking just Total Archery Challenge. We do different types of events. And there was one here called Bowcast at the Bird, and that was at Snowbird. And it was basically the same platform that we do, but the guys who were over that started to lose interest, and numbers were going down, and I knew this thing had some potential. It just needed some TLC. And so we worked out a deal with them to take that over and see what we could do taking it across the country on a hope and a whim. We've done events for a long time. We knew this thing needed just a couple different things to charge it back up, and it worked.
Hey, Bucks to Business friends. To show our appreciation for you taking your time to listen to the Bucks to Business podcast, we want to give you an opportunity to win a free trophy whitetail hunt with our team at Fever Pursuits Professional Hunting Services during the 2017 season. It's easy to sign up. All you need to do is pause this episode that you're listening to right now, get out your phone, tablet, or your laptop, and go to mockranches.com and subscribe to our newsletter. Or you can go to mockranches.com/podcast and register there. But it's an easy process. Just subscribe to our newsletter, and you get a chance to win a free trophy whitetail hunt during the 2017 season with our team. We very much appreciate you and hope that you win the hunt.
What were those things that you identified looking at the business that was, I guess, failing in that it wasn't accomplishing the previous owner's goals? So when you look at a business that was failing, but you saw opportunity, what did you see the opportunity in? What did you identify that needed to be improved?
Well,
generally you see, like you said earlier, here's why I asked that. asked that because you said earlier you have a phenomenal team. Without the team, you couldn't do it. Well, that's not exclusive to your industry. As we interview entrepreneurs and interview business owners, that is one of the most common themes that we see, that you succeed through people. No one succeeds alone. No one fails alone. And so the highest producing companies in just about every industry are succeeding through high producing people and really great people that are passionate. So I noticed that when you look at a failing company and you look at it and see opportunity, and give some examples of things that you looked at and said, I know we can go improve there. Here's things that could be done better. Here's what the opportunity looks like.
So one of the things that I looked at, and I actually talked to quite a few guys who had shot that event in the past and were no longer participating. Some of the things when I was looking at it was there wasn't enough wow factor when you got there. It was more of a club of guys that like extreme shooting, and the courses they set up were too extreme for what I think would widen the net that we wanted to cast. So bring in a wider demographic. And so first and foremost, we said, well, if we took this thing, added some courses that aren't near as extreme, but still give that fun, Western experience, and then we could draw a much bigger crowd, and even the people that can't do the extreme stuff can still participate on some level. And so that was first and foremost. Change it up to where you can bring in as many people in the archery industry as possible. Secondly was the targets. One of the things I learned was targets are a huge part of the value of what people perceive that they're getting. And so we decided we needed really good targets, and we needed a lot of big game, not a lot of the smaller targets. You needed a really good mix, and they needed to look nice. And so we try to keep our targets in good shape. We try to sell them off every year, at the most every other year, and get them replaced. And so that was a big one. And then just
you also got bison targets and caribou and elk and
we've got
the big
we've
stuff,
got everything
you
right
can't shoot anywhere else.
Right. Yep. If, like I said, if Reinhardt makes it, I think we own it. So I'm
one
a
of those
huge fan
target costs.
Oh, you know what? A lot. I think they're over $2,000. I got to look it up.
Yeah, a couple or 3,000 anyway. Y'all got a lot of money invested in targets.
Yeah, we do. But that's part of it, right? I mean, when you go to an event like ours, our event isn't cheap, but I feel like you get your value out of it. You're not shooting dried up, ugly foam targets. You're shooting nice targets that are replaced frequently. And I think that's a big part of it. We decided to add a lot more targets. And then the whole thing on, Utah there's nothing like the Snowbird event. I mean, there just isn't. You're at 11,000 feet when you start. You work your way down to 8,000 feet. You're shooting off cliffs. You're shooting up rock slides. You're shooting, there's nothing like it. And so that's been real attractive. But in order to get the momentum we had, build that Snowbird to where it is we needed to reach out to other parts of the U.S., right? And so in doing so, that's created our momentum, and we're getting a lot of, last year we had 26 states, I believe, and 5 countries represented at Snowbird.
No kidding.
So, yeah. So we got a lot of people traveling, and it's busy. The mountain it's really busy. In fact, we're to the point we're going to have to start figuring out how to cap that on certain days, just to make sure we don't get so many people. We're already doing tee times where Texas, you just show up and go shoot. Well, at Snowbird, you have to register for a certain time to start on Saturdays. So if you don't register for a certain tram ride, then you've got to wait till it opens to the public. And that's I shouldn't say public, but open to anyone who didn't register for a tee time. That opens up at like 12 or something. So from 8 to 12, you had to have registered for a certain time to leave. And if you miss that tram, you're out of luck. because the next tram's booked.
Wow.
So, okay. But, I worked for a company called The Color Run, producing 5K events all over the country, and including Canada.
Seen those.
And so a lot of that, a lot of what I learned on the whole flow of events and the basic necessities of events, I learned from doing that. And we were doing events up to 30,000 people. And so we just carried over those things that we learned. And it's reflected in our events. And I think that's why we're growing. But let's not forget, there's a huge, huge factor to our growth, and that's our partners. People like you, people like Yeti, Mountain Ops, Prime, G5, Sitka. All those guys are a huge part of our success because they're out there. They give us street cred. They've looked at our event and decided that it's an event that qualifies for them to come on as a big sponsor. And with that, they're putting it out there, and people are seeing us and saying, well, if those guys are sponsored by these types of companies, it must be a good event. Let's check it out.
Must be legit.
Yeah.
So you took the Bowcast event, though, and you benchmarked, which we do in any business, right? You benchmarked, you talked to past clients, past participants, and determined that it was a scalable deal and put what you learned in Color Run, which Color Run's huge. It's where you run. That's where you do the half marathon and they spray the colored mud all over you, right? It looks like the paint.
Yeah, it's a 5K, and they splash you with colored powder, and you know what? It's an absolute riot. It is such a fun event.
It looks pretty fun.
Super family oriented, but so I started with them right in the beginning when they started, and so we had to scale fast. Like the goal was 20 events the first year. We ended up doing 60, and we got up to where we were doing almost 200 events and 1 million different participants over the year. And that's, you learn a lot when that has to happen. And so they did it in such a short time, and it was phenomenal, but I got to learn from all these pros on how things work. And we just, like I said, we carried that over and into the archery industry, and we've seen that those certain things are kind of the base for every event, and so we've applied it to such, and it's been good. What
are the challenges in the events industry? I guess a two-part question. What's been the toughest part about it? Maybe that's partially from Color Run. You learned something there that you avoided here, but what's the toughest part about it? If somebody came to you and said, Sean, looks like y'all have an awesome event in archery. I'd like to take your model and put it in fishing or in, whatever, a half marathon or an obstacle course. What would you say is the toughest part, the biggest challenges about putting these type of events on? This thing's first class. And another question I've had in the past that we'll get to this. I want to ask you once on my mind is about getting sponsors. Because I work with a lot of nonprofits, and it seems like most people don't understand really how to go get sponsors and be attractive to a big company like Sitka or Yeti. I live right here in Austin. I'm at just a few miles from Yeti's sick new headquarters that they just opened up. And there's a ton of nonprofits and events and charities in Austin that would love to get Yeti's attention and get sponsored by them, but very few have the ability to go do that. So I just wanted to ask that question before I forgot about it, but we can talk about the first one. What are the biggest challenges?
So the biggest challenges, Monica, that's my wife, we sat down and discussed like, hey, do we want to do this, buy this thing, let's build it out. How would we do this? What do we need? And like you said, you hit benchmarks. Well, this event, just by participants alone, so registration income, would not survive. It's impossible. Just because we put so much into it. It is not a cheap event to put on. And so sponsors are a key part in the success of the event on multiple scales, financially, getting the word out, and gaining credibility with your participants. But I would say the two biggest challenges, the two things that concern me always are, one, getting people there. That's number one. Because if people aren't showing up, you're not getting your sponsors. And if people aren't showing up, you're also not getting the participant income. So those two kind of work hand in hand on the event side.
It's chicken or the egg. You got to have the people to attract the sponsors.
Yep. But at the same time, you got to have the sponsors to help attract the people. So it's really, really critical. And that, I think, was our biggest challenge. We worked with multiple archery company or bow companies that in the beginning they're saying, oh, yeah, maybe, and perhaps, and let's see. And anyway, nobody was saying yes. And then Prime stepped in and said, you know what, we're going to do this thing. And so we latched on. They had a fantastic product. They still do. And they've been a wonderful partner. And they're a huge part. I mean, that first title sponsor, that's what kind of gives you the kickstart, right, on moving. Yep. And so it's hard to say which one, but those two are definitely the hardest that I think, because every demographic or every state you go to, they I don't know what the right term is, but they speak a different language than perhaps they do in Utah on what attracts them or doesn't. So,
they all respond differently. Texas bow hunters like to sit in the pop-up over a corn feeder and drink beer, it seems like, and not hike. And I say that jokingly, but a lot of that's true, though. They don't want to go hike 8 miles and shoot a 100-yard course. They want to knock a few arrows down and have a beer.
Yep. And so it's trying to figure out what the right thing to say is to each state or location you're going to, because the message needs to be a little different. So those are some of the more complicated things. I don't know if that really answers the question you're asking, but to me, those were the two things that we discussed the most. Well, there was another, like, how are we going to pay for this? That's a whole nother discussion, though. So
that's where your Kickstart money comes in. I like that you said that your first sponsor, Prime, was kind of like your Kickstarter campaign. That's where your money comes from to launch the thing and confidently go forward with the first season anyway, the first full year, and see what consumer response is going to be like. Learn, then you go to Sitka and you go to Mountain Ops and you go to G5 and whoever your other partners are, and you can see value. But attracting those sponsors earlier, like attracting Prime, is it just scrappy in the early days? I was at the Safari Club International banquet the other day and getting involved with SCI a little more on their local chapter, helping Fellowship Christian Athletes Motocross put on a sporting clay shoot in April down in Houston. And you look at, in both of those situations, it's just exactly what you said. Registration alone just kind of pays for the event, if that. So you're dependent on sponsors and donations and stuff to make the money for the organization. In your case, to make money for your family, for these others to make money for their nonprofit. But in the early days, Sean, is it just scrappy? You're going and getting whoever's willing to partner with you on some kind of deal, whether it's a product deal to attract people, if they're actually willing to give you some cash. Do you structure those where you say, look, we need $10,000, but if only 100 people show up, we're only going to charge you 5 of that? Is it just scrappy in the early days, going and getting partners?
Yeah, that was that was a lot of work. Well, there were a couple things. There was that. Getting venues was also hard because you had to explain to these ski resorts who typically aren't hunters, we're going to be shooting arrows all over your mountain. And so they're like, wait, what are you doing? So that was also a tougher thing to accomplish than what we anticipated in the beginning. But
what are you doing? And let me see your insurance policy.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. You're exactly right. And, but as far as sponsors go, it was really hard. But you know what's funny is as we started to build this and we were telling everybody, hey, we're taking the bird over, going into new management, going to change things up. We're bringing back what you guys are wanting to see. Then a lot of those guys who were in the archery industry, they were pushing their people to us. And so that's how I met up with Prime, was one of their reps in Utah. His name's James Bonham. And he's a sales rep here in Utah. He brought Prime to us and said, look, you guys really need to work this out. I think it'd be great for both of you. I know the event, and I think there is great potential with what you're saying. So the funny thing is Prime came on board sight unseen. They just put their faith in us and said, okay, we'll do it.
No kidding.
Yep. And it's worked out well for them, and it's worked out well for us. But then Prime, Prime has contacts in the industry that are saying, hey, what are you doing? And they're like, oh, we're, this event's blah, 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 and it's great, and we love it. It's got a lot of growth potential. And so then those people are like, oh, we're going to watch this and keep an eye out. And then I was, I've been in the industry guiding and whatever for years. And so I had contacts at some of these local companies like Gold Tip. They sponsored us for a couple of years. And so it just kind of cascaded from there. And then you meet these other guys, and then those guys recommend this. And like Yeti, for example, that was another company that said, hey, you should talk to these guys. And I was extremely persistent because I feel like a lot of these guys weren't going to come on board, but I kept pushing and pushing and pushing as unannoyingly as I could. And then they came on board, and now they're great partners. So I think it's always a hustle and grind on the sponsorship side. Talking to these guys, they get hammered for sponsorship. I mean, absolutely hammered by inquiries. And so I feel really fortunate that we've been able to build the relationships we have with the partners we have and maintain that. I count us as very fortunate to have that, especially in today's industry right now. Though.
You're quality people.
They really
put on an incredible event. Y'all are quality people. And any company, I mean that, any company, Prime, Yeti, Sitka, Mountain Ops, you see commonalities there too. You see quality people and quality products in those companies, and they're only going to co-brand with somebody that has the same values. And they see that, build a partnership young. It's a win-win. I'm sure they've got metrics that they want to see you hit to continue supporting the shoot, and apparently you're hitting those. So I agree with. I'm going to echo what you said. It's a grind, and in small business entrepreneurs like you and I, it is a grind every day, and you have to, like Aaron and Brian say, you have to stay gritty. You have to be gritty in business, or else you might want to go get a job doing something else, because this is a grind to get it. But you're grinding every day to earn the right to do what you love to do, and do it with the people that you want to do it with. And that's the trade-off. It's easier to go get a job, but you're doing this to earn the right to do what you want to do, and do it with the people you want to do it with, and raise your family around that environment. I respect the heck out of you. You've done a super job with an amazing event.
Well, I appreciate that. And like I said, I can't, it's not just us, or it's not just me. I mean, my wife, she's kind of a behind the scenes person too. And, she handles home base. Anyone that's done the shoot has probably met her. And she is 100% on board, works hard, and makes this thing function in an organized way. And then our team, they're passionate about it, and they love to see the success of it and want to see the smiles on people's face. And we work hard for that. Somebody comes up and tells us, hey, there's a problem here, I don't like it. Then we really listen to that and decide whether, not everything they say we're going to do, because maybe it's just them and we don't think it's best for the company. But if they point something out, then, we need to fix that. And we take pride in listening to everybody.
Hey guys, let's talk real estate for a second.
Buying or selling a piece of land may be the largest financial transaction you'll ever make. Gary Keller once said, "There are two kinds of real estate agents, those who list property and those who market property." At Mock Ranches, we are ranch marketing experts. So choose a real estate firm that specializes in land sales and understands land management. Learn more at mockranches.com and receive a free ranch map when you mention the Bucks to Business podcast. That's mockranches.com.
One thing, Brian, they've talked about it recently, but is that book, Ego is the Enemy. And so we try to stay away from that, like we don't know all the answers, but we try to listen and find the answer. So as our company has evolved, the events evolved, a lot of that has been feedback from a lot of different people. Hey, do this. Hey, can you change that? Hey, I don't like this or whatever. And it's respecting that, hey, these guys are onto something or just the fact that, hey, this guy's ornery and we're not going to change that. But yeah, it's been a really, really fun ride. And we're excited to see it keep on growing. We're going to hopefully add a couple more venues next year. There in San Antonio, actually, we're going to trying to figure out the details if we're going to launch this, but we're looking at doing a 5K Saturday morning where you run through Natural Bridge Caverns, one of their caves. And cool. Just as something else to add to it, just something cool to do. So, we're working out all those details, and then we've also got Yeti. They're an extremely good partner. They're throwing a huge pre-party Thursday night in Austin for us.
Sweet. So, that's the headquarters in Austin.
Yeah, the new flagship store there.
Yeah.
We're gonna
that's right down the road from my office. I'm gonna come to that for sure.
You better. It's going to be cool, man. Like Thursday night, pre-party. Let's have fun at the Yeti building. And then Friday morning, it all starts. Saturday, we'll find out. It's going to be a 5K with Mountain Ops as the lead. It'll be in their name. We'll do an awesome 5K through the cave. And then we'll, obviously, the whole 5K is not in the cave. But you run through the cave. And then when you pop out. But... and then the shoot, man. And then we do an after party Saturday night. And that after party is, you asked this earlier, what do we do with conservation? Or maybe you and I talked about it earlier and you hadn't asked yet.
Yeah, I hadn't asked that yet. That was one of my last ones, and you got to it. So what do y'all do for conservation, nonprofit? Because I think people love to support that.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things we do, and it's not at every event yet, but we're trying to get it that way. A lot of it's logistics on how to work. But in San Antonio at the Natural Bridge Caverns event, on Saturday night, we do an after party. And we've done it with the Mule Deer Foundation the last couple of years. I don't know if we're doing it with them this year or somebody else. Whoever it is, it'll be a conservation group. And there's live music we're trying to get put together right now for Texas, which we've never done in the past, but we're hoping to have it this year. And then we'll do a big auction of all sorts of stuff. You buy raffle tickets and all that money, 100% donation goes to the conservation group. In the past, last year, I think we raised, I want to say gross, it was around $7,000. Okay. Total Archery Challenge takes care of all the venue costs. We work with our partners to get some good donations for raffles, and then we don't take a dime out of it. We give it 100% to the conservation group. And so to attend that event, you don't have to be a shooter. Just come on out and support conservation and buy some raffle tickets and take care of them. And then, we've done as much as there in Big Sky. We raised just over $11,000 last year for 2% for conservation. So we're by no means a big, giant banquet night, but that's money that's just right in their pocket and can do a lot of good things.
You bet. Let me know how I can help you. We should hook up after this, and let me know how I can help you with that. We've got a lot of connections with conservation organizations here in the state and country music artists, both. If you need some help on that, shoot me an email and we'll connect. Can I ask you a social media question?
You bet.
How much of your marketing is done on social media? This is something I want to learn. How much of your marketing is done on social media, and is that a factor that sponsors look at? They want to know how many followers you have.
That's a really good question. We do quite a bit on social. Funny thing is Texas is the least performing on social media. So just for whatever reason, maybe people aren't really attracted to it down there or whatever. But social media is a big part of our marketing campaign. It's a quick way to get the message out. It's not the only way, but it is one of our most successful ways. Sponsors, they look at those numbers. Here's the thing, though. It's not just the gross number they're looking at. They want to know, because there's a lot of guys out there that can buy followers, for example. And if you're doing that and you've got 50,000, 100,000 followers, but you're only getting a few hundred likes, I mean, they're looking at really who's seen it. That's what
engagement. They want to look at engagement.
Yeah. So it's not just gross numbers. It's, are you getting any movement on your page? Is there any value there to us? What kind of things are you posting on your page? Does it align with our message? Because if you're not aligned with what your sponsors are doing or your potential sponsors, then chances are they're not going to do it. The synergy of brands can be huge in marketing, and it is for us. But you're trying to find partners that are all aligned, closely together or have similar messages and things like that. So, but it is a huge part for us. And I'm not an expert. I actually reach out to guys that I think are experts to have them help me along and tell me what to do. And then we have a lot of people who post about us too that have a lot more followers than us, and it helps. It all helps.
Yeah. So you get Zach Griffith to post about a shoot, and he's got all those followers, and you get a lot of eyeballs. A lot of eyeballs.
Exactly.
Or Gritty Bowman or those guys. Yep.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying is our growth, it has so much to do with the people that are attending our events and helping us. The guys like Zach Griffith or Gritty Bowman and Aaron Snyder or any of our sponsors. You've got the Sitka guys and you've got Mountain Ops. Mountain Ops post plenty. Hush and Crew. They post about us. And all those guys are bringing big attention to our events, and it's helped us tremendously. Now, that being said, I think you still have to, no matter who you have on board, you still have to create a good event that flows nice, that people enjoy, or no matter who your sponsors are, they're not coming. So but yeah, it's an absolute blast. We absolutely love it. It's a lot of work. And when we're done and we see people smiling and posting saying this is the greatest shoot we've ever done, have so much fun, look forward to it. I mean, we really, really enjoy seeing that stuff.
Well, we're looking forward to it, man. In all seriousness, I'm going to be there with a knee brace on and won't be able to likely do the Western shoot, but I'm going to find a way to get around and shoot some. We'll have a couple of teams, and I don't know what y'all have got for sponsorship available or booth spots, but we'll probably have some presence and want to help with the shoot as much as we can. Hopefully this episode gets good circulation and gets exposure for the shoot. We'd love to see those numbers get up there to rival the Utah shoot and get some good exposure for your sponsors. That's why we do this stuff, man. We find quality people with a quality product, service, or event that love the outdoors and want to work with more of them and know more of them. So appreciate you spending a little time with us here, Sean. It's always a pleasure. And I look forward to seeing you guys, I guess, that Thursday, the 4th of May at Yeti headquarters.
You're dang right. We're going to get that. The guy who I work with at Yeti, he's off in Nepal hunting blue sheep, I believe. So when he gets back, we're going to finalize all the details and we'll get that posted. There's 2 places you'll be able to find the information. One will be on our Facebook page. It's just Total Archery Challenge. Go under events and look for San Antonio. And once we have the details, we'll post them there. And then the other would be to our website, totalarcherychallenge.com. Also click on events, click on San Antonio, and we'll have the details there. It's got the schedule there already, not including the after parties as we're finalizing details. And, but yeah, I mean, I really appreciate you having us on. And again, Kasey, for everything you've done for us, since day one, helping us try to build this thing out there. And come on out. Have a great day.
Heck yeah. We'll share all the links on our stuff too. We'll share it on the podcast website, and we'll share it on our social media channels. Where are y'all at on social media, though? You mentioned the Facebook page, Total Archery Challenge. You're on Instagram, I imagine. Is it just Total Archery Challenge on Instagram?
Correct. Yep. Those are really the only 2 that we spend any time on.
Okay.
Is Instagram and Facebook. If anybody has any questions, they can message us on Facebook or hit us up, via email. It's info@totalarcherychallenge.com, and we'll get any questions answered, whatever they are. I'll tell you this, though.
Roger that, man.
You register early. You save money registering early, and you get the T-shirt for free. So register early. Get the
When
goods.
is the early registration deadline?
Early registration deadline is, I believe, April 2nd or 3rd. Early April, typically 30 days prior to the event.
Right here, April 5th. I'm reading it on the website. Early registration, April 5th. Perfect.
Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks, man.
You bet, man.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please follow us on iTunes and give us a review. We enjoy reading your reviews, and the ratings help us move up the list. You can also follow us on social media at Instagram or Facebook at Bucks to Business Podcast.